Hello and welcome to the SMEFocus show powered by MTDCNC. I'm Mark Weymouth from the Sensor Specialist Plus Automation. I'm your host this week to carry on the great work this show does highlighting UK manufacturing and in particular SMEs. My guest today is Nicole Ballentyne, who is vocal in supporting UK manufacturing and the women within it. Nicole is also passionate about the people and skills issues involved in achieving high performance. Hi Nicole, welcome to the SMEFocus show.
Thank you for having me, Mark, and Merry Christmas.
Indeed, not long to go now. If we can go back, maybe not to 2 centuries, but if we can go back for the 3 decades that you say on your LinkedIn profile, so I'm not giving away a secret. You've spent 3 decades in manufacturing and innovation support, but can I ask you what took you into manufacturing in the beginning, and maybe you could give us a run through of your history?
Sure, yeah. So right back in the day, I remember watching Play School, and through the arched window, I saw a baked bean factory, and I saw the operation and the baked bean cans flying around. And I think that was probably my earliest memory about manufacturing. And when I was at school, I did DT, absolutely loved it, did maths and physics. So the engineering route seemed a sensible route to take. And I went on a WISE course, so Women in Science and Engineering, and they said, do Mech Eng. When I went for my Mech Eng interview at Imperial, they said, have you ever heard of sponsorship? And I went, no, what's that? And I applied for sponsorship, got sponsored by Metal Box, that as was then, and then the next 15 years working for Metal Box, started in continuous improvement, quality management, and then sort of moving more into worked at many different factories, world-class manufacturing, and then got into ERP implementation across Europe. The final 15 years of the 30 was really having babies, working in public sector, more where I could have more flexibility in my job. Always thought I'd go back into manufacturing, but got offered this job for a manufacturing execution system. And it's great because I get to go into lots of different factories now. And help them out with their software.
Excellent. If I can jump back maybe one role, so until 2020 you were working for Innovate UK, which is an organisation I'm sure many of the viewers know, but maybe know to different extents. Some will be involved with, but obviously others won't. So can you tell us a little bit about Innovate UK and in particular your time and I guess what you learned from your time with Innovate UK?
Yeah, sure. So I worked for Innovate UK KTN. So at the time it was called the Knowledge Transfer Networks. And I kind of headed up the digital manufacturing centre of excellence. And one contract that we brought in was with the Made Smarter Innovation. So Innovate UK is the UK's innovation agency. The government transfer money down into Innovate UK to help UK manufacturers to innovate. The Made Smarter Innovation Programme was about enabling manufacturers, small and large, to innovate, to become more productive. And particularly the Made Smarter Innovation was around using digital technologies to do that. I would say that my main role, whether it was written down or what I chose to do, was to try and enable as many manufacturers to access the support as easily as possible without all the mountains of paperwork that people do have the impression. And sometimes that is the case, but sometimes if you get the right advisor or the right help, it can be made easier.
Would you have any learning experiences from your time there? Any suggestions you'd make for people either applying or that people could just learn from your time with sort of Made Smarter, Innovate UK?
Yeah, I think finding a good advisor or a good conduit point, the KTN, or it's called now Innovate UK Business Connect, is full of people who have been connectors, are professional networkers, and it's finding somebody who, 1, you get on with, 2, understands what you do, and 3, is willing to introduce you to as many people as they know that may help you. So you being able to articulate what you want clearly helps the introducer to introduce you to the right person,
Yeah.
for sure. Be that somebody within the Catapult network, or be that another manufacturer or another technology provider who can provide a solution into the manufacturing environment. So it's about finding a good advisor who is generous with their knowledge in terms of introductions, but they're judged on introductions. So they want to make introductions, but it's making the right introductions really that's the important thing. And that's about you being able to articulate what you want or what you think you want.
Okay, interesting. You touched on slightly your current role, so you're with ILIT Technologies now, so I'll obviously ask you what ILIT Technologies do, but I love your title of Head of Customer Success, which is, says on the tin what it should be, really, I guess. So tell us a bit about your role and ILIT Technologies, please.
Yeah, so ILIT Technologies is a group company. And the banner contains 3 companies: ILIT, Optessa, and Mestec. We don't refer to those names now because we're now all one group. But as was Mestec, was a manufacturing execution system. It was developed in the UK, UK IP. It was born probably 15 years through the need in the defence sector for full end-to-end traceability of products. And from there, sometimes I find I have to explain what an MES is, a manufacturing execution system. So if I just give me the honour of the top layer, ERP, the enterprise resource planning systems, really for accountants and for the top layer of the management within a factory. That next layer down, when the works orders come down to the shop floor, that's really where MES, the manufacturing execution, comes into play. The key benefits of a MES are 1 around labour productivity, but 2 around traceability and full end-to-end traceability. So that's where it was born. That's what it does. We still do that. We focus really heavily in the medical device sector, so EDHR, electronic data records, and of course we've got clients defence. We've got clients making chairs, making rockets, making pies.
So when I
didn't answer your question properly. I didn't answer what customer success was. So I'm working with all the customers we currently have who have got the software in place, in system, and it's working, but it's how they extract more value for their investment that they've made in the software.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent. When we were preparing for this interview, I asked you, as I asked all the guests, for some topics that you'd like to discuss, and one of the ones you came up with was, and I quote, the industry for hype and the importance of people. So that feels like we could fill the rest of the day with that topic, but I might ask you to be slightly quicker. Give me some of your thoughts. Let's have some inspiration on what you think of the industry for hype and the importance of people.
Yeah, I had views a couple of years ago, and I think being in this role, my views have crystallized even more, having gone out and worked with our customers and seeing which ones are truly really successful in utilizing their manufacturing execution system to give them really good results, and those that struggle a bit. People, whether it's the person, the top level sponsor that's signing the check and paying for the software, whether it's the guys in the middle who are actually making it happen, or it's the guys on the shop floor who are entering the data. It's all about people. So I think when we talk about people and skills, where's the skills gap? Is it on? There was this understanding, I think, that was proliferated on LinkedIn about it being the shop floor and the shop floor reticent to change. Everybody uses a smartphone now. Everyone can use digital technology in terms of using it, as long as the UI, the user interface is easy. But it's that understanding of the architecture, about what data you need, why are you collecting data, what reporting are you wanting to do, why are you doing it, And I think that Industry 4 hype is, it's not about automation, it's not about robots, it's not about technology particularly, but it's about how you can extract useful information real time from the data that you're collecting on the shop floor, and what data do you want to collect. So, the hype is really about, are we doing Industry 4, or are we actually doing manufacturing in the best, most efficient way and using the data to help us make good decisions? I think one of the things I mentioned to you in our pre-chat was around a framework. And one framework that I found is super useful is the SIRI, which is the Smart Industry Readiness Index. And in that, it kind of quite clearly splits into 3 columns. One is about technology, for sure. One is around the process. So how do you design a new product using, how do you look at the whole supply chain, and how do you manage and integrate all the data flows within the factory? So the process, the technology, but a third is all about the people. And about the skills and about the knowledge and about the understanding and the communication. I like SIRI because it's a globally recognized benchmark. One of my annoyances in the industry is that everyone has their own diagnostic or roadmap or whatever. And what SIRI does is it kind of cuts through that. It's completely independent. It was developed by a whole load of industries globally. And now, like industries, can compare themselves and benchmark themselves with other industries globally to see how they're doing on their Industry 4 journey. It's a good one to look into, for sure. I'll give you the link at the end.
Okay, interesting. And do you find that you have to use sort of a recognized tool like SIRI to almost open up the discussion of the importance of people? Sometimes do you find customers come into it from a very technical perspective rather than a holistic business perspective?
As with everything, they're all different. When you deal with people, they're all different. I thought when I came in this role, I'd be using SIRI more. And to be fair, I've only used it at one of our clients. Others know what they want, and they have their own roadmap, which I'm not going to interfere with. I'll just help them to progress on their own roadmap. I think the challenge of people comes when there's the frustration that we're not getting the data we want. We're wanting, we're wanting to report OEE, but this doesn't look right. Is it the people that are not putting the information in right, or actually have we not set it up to collect the right data at the right time? So I think, and which people should it be? I've noticed ERP, MES projects that are managed by, by the IT department, not the best way. Yeah. It should be the production and the manufacturing engineers and the production supervisors. They're being tasked with productivity improvements. They know what they want to do. All the answers are out on the shop floor, and it's those guys that know what they want. And when you become kind of a bit detached, IT departments are absolutely essential, and they're the people that make things happen and make everything connect. But it's the guys on the shop floor and the production managers who are the ones that are driving change, and they're the people that really, they understand their processes, but they don't necessarily know how to digitize. So it's a real meshing of skills. And I think that's one of our skill challenges now. You're not just looking for a production manager or an IT manager. You're looking for somebody who can integrate the two. And they're unicorns. They're really rare breeds to find.
Okay. On the subject of the skills gap, which is obviously headlines probably a vast proportion of the LinkedIn posts I ever see, but I'm not sure there's a lot of value ever said about really what the skills gap is, or how it can be addressed, or how it applies to business. So can I ask you for some of your thoughts and experiences? What would you define as the skills gap related to manufacturing and change?
Yeah, I think, as I've just said, it's people working in manufacturing now have to have a whole range of skills, and it's not just one singular skill. So I'm sure there's a good academic word for it. I can't think right now. goes across boundaries. As I say, they've got to have IT skills. You need to have that manufacturing knowledge and understanding of your processes. You've got to have a management understanding what data you're being judged on, what KPIs you're wanting to report, therefore what data you have to collect to produce that. But then you also have to be an absolute people person to manage that change and manage that data collection within your factory. So finding somebody that has all of those skills or creating more of those people, I think, is where a big chunk of the skills gap is. That's based on personal knowledge and seeing, as opposed to reading any. There's probably lots of really good reports out there that I've not read on it, but that's my impression. From a personal perspective, I have 3 children, and looking at their decisions at the end of where to go at the end of school or the end of university, and the options that are available now, it's so confusing because there's so much available, and so that, there's a challenge there. A degree apprentice. One of my daughters is looking at degree apprenticeships, and there is like one front door, but all the companies are doing their own thing as well. So it's quite it's an interesting challenge. And what's the value of a degree apprentice doing engineering versus somebody getting an engineering degree and then coming out the other end? And I was at an event with Ingenuity a couple of weeks back, and we brought up that issue of, we now have 75,000 graduate engineers coming out who are going to work at Tesco's. How can that be? So I don't know what to do about it, but the guys at Ingenuity, I think, are going to create some kind of study to look at that, to see what I think they have some mechanisms, but it's being able to capture everybody.
Yeah, I think any sort of centralized resource as well for kids or for parents with information, because you talk about the challenge of understanding the options, but our life is within the manufacturing industry. For an awful lot of parents, it isn't. How's the child, the youngster, going to make these decisions? Where do they get the information from? So I think the Ingenuity initiative's going to help an awful lot, just if it provides a central identifiable source of resource even before it finds any findings or recommendations.
But because we're an innovative nation, there's lots of small solutions kind of popping up, and there becomes this confusion. And I've got Andrea Wilson's voice in my head about having one voice, having one route. Because I could say, you could go to Ingenuity, you could do this, you could look at gov.uk, but then in the West Midlands, they may be getting some other advice, and in Yorkshire and Humber, they could get some other advice. And if everyone collectively produced within the UK, produced like one pathway, I think we would be better off as a nation. But then would we be as innovative as we are? And it's because we're an innovative nation that we kind of sprout off these ideas. But sometimes I think having a more direct approach and a single channel would benefit, particularly manufacturing, for sure. And that one voice that Andrea always shouts about, and it's really, really important.
Yeah, I think definitely some simple signposting. We can all be innovative once we know what directions are open to us. But at the minute, there's so much confusion over the signposting, let alone the resources. On the subject of planning and one key figure, next week is Christmas. Can I ask, I'm assuming that you're ready, but can I ask, let's say, what do you want for Christmas? And then the more traditional question for this podcast is, what are your plans for 2025 and what does it have in store for you?
Well, I've assessed my capacity planning chart, and I know do you know what? I think you get to an age and really all you want is, well, all I want my whole family sat round the table at Christmas Day without too many arguments. I'll have my mum and dad, my husband's dad and partner, and just to have a great family day. I'm sure there'll be some present giving, and hopefully there's some Lego in there or some new PLA from my 3D printer. But apart from that, for me, it's about family for sure. And as for 2025, there's lots of change going on in Islet at the moment. Within this last year, so they've brought another company into the group. There's lots of change happening. There's lots of opportunity within the group. So I hope to continue delivering customer success to the customers that we already have, and taking them on that journey to more productivity. But I hope that, as well, externally, to be engaging as much as I have done this year with the initiatives of Ingenuity and with the Women in Manufacturing movement, because I think getting that message out further than your direct kind of circle of influence is really important.
It sounds like a very worthwhile but very big challenge ahead for you for 2025. So certainly let's hope that Christmas 2024 is a nice time to relax, catch up, and remember why we're doing all this stuff. So I thank you very much for your time. It's been really appreciated. I'll wrap up with the usual sort of request that if anyone would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, suggestion, and particularly if you'd like to appear in a future episode, please email us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com or contact myself, Stuart Whitehead, or Joe Reynolds. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy Christmas. Have a great time. From me, Mark Weymouth, Plus Automation. Cheers. Have fun.